The following hedge fund video has been brought to you by the HFG. The hedge fund group provides premium service, along with online training and certification for hedge funds, called the Certified Hedge Fund Professional, also known as the CHP designation.
Hello, this is Richard Wilson, and today we're going to cover liquidity and lockup periods and what those things mean to hedge fund managers, what they mean to investors, just kind of a really general, 1,000-foot overview of how those work in the industry. So first off, liquidity is often a concern or something taken into consideration by investors who invest in hedge funds. Some hedge funds have monthly liquidity. You put in a redemption request to receive your money back. You can get your money back within a month. Other hedge funds invest in maybe value-based equities, and they really think it's going to take 1 to 2 or 3 years to realize the value within those securities. They might have longer lockup periods, or especially a hedge fund who invest in something such as commercial real estate, patent portfolios, some global macro strategies, some debt securities. Some of those things have very long investment horizons and long-term goals for growth in the value of that asset. And the result is that it's not always the most liquid asset. If they can sell it in the short term, it's for a loss, or in the future, they're pretty sure it's going to be for a gain. And so what happens is there's this conflict where investors, they like to be able to know they can get their money back at any time for any reason. And the investment professional, the hedge fund in this case, wants to know that the investor's capital is committed for the long term so they can realize those returns. Otherwise, they'll have to sell things at a loss, and it might disrupt their investment schedule or their investment plans. So what's happened is most hedge funds have lockup periods. The average lockup period is 18 months for a hedge fund, which means that if you invest in a hedge fund, you have to wait 18 months to get your money back. Some of those rules are hard. There's no exceptions. You cannot get your money back. Other times there are redemption fees, anywhere from 2 to 20% of the assets you invested. There could be a fee if you take the money back early. Sometimes that fee decreases the longer you've waited. Other times it does not. It's really different on a case-by-case basis. You always need to check with a legal professional and have them read the contract in detail. But the important thing to know is that these fees are in place and these lockup periods are in place for most hedge funds. Some hedge funds go much more than 18 months and have 3 to 5, even 7-year lockup periods. And for some institutional investors who would like to get in on investments, for example, in infrastructure or water, or really unique niche areas, they can make a lot of sense because a pension fund or an endowment fund or foundation might have a very long-term time horizon, and they can plan their cash needs usually for a very long time to come. And obviously, with the recent recession, people are more sensitive to liquidity, especially at the institutional level. But many times, investors are comfortable with these long-term investments as long as it makes sense for that asset class. The important thing to really remember, though, is that one of the reasons why the lockup periods came into existence in the first place was simply that the investors' demands of liquidity didn't line up with the investment manager's investment horizon and investment goals. And so that's the reason why lockup periods were created. That's why they exist in the industry. And that's why you might hear in the news that institutional investors are requiring lower lockup periods, or that hedge fund managers are able to leverage good performance with requiring longer lockup periods. So if that's something that was confusing while you read about in the news or in one of the required books for the CHP, I hope that clears up your question, and thank you for your time today.